Can you all see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. It's drizzling delicious food.
Okay, so who have you have tried Filipino food? Okay, I see Yoli, Monty, Sarup. Anybody else? And Rick, yes, okay, awesome. So I see a few hands, and hopefully after this presentation, you'll be dazzled to try Filipino foods. Filipino foods is probably one of the most underrated cuisines. So journey with me as I show you why you should try Filipino foods in your next meal. In this speech, I will talk about the different influences behind our cuisine, what are the different flavors of Filipino food, and the 4 must-try Filipino foods. So what are our international influences? The Philippines is a fusion of flavors, drawing from influences from the Spanish, the Malay, the Chinese, and the Americans. When the Malays arrived, they introduced rice cultivation and new spices. The Chinese brought in soy sauce, tofu, and noodles. The Spanish colonization brought in ingredients such as tomatoes, corn, and garlic. The Americans came in with canned goods, hot dogs, and hamburgers, which were soon integrated and Filipinized into dishes like our spaghetti Filipino style. Today, Filipino cuisine blends indigenous traditions with foreign influences. So what are the different flavors of Filipino cuisine? Let's start with salty. Many Filipino dishes emphasize umami flavors, often brought out by using soy sauce, fish sauce, and fermented shrimp paste, or bagoong. Now for sweet. Filipinos love sweet flavors, evident in our generous sprinkling of sugar and or coconut milk in some of our savory dishes, especially in our desserts. Even our Filipino style spaghetti is sweet, something that you may want to sink your teeth into. And now my personal favorite is sour. The tangy flavor profile, primarily from ingredients like vinegar, tamarind, and calamansi, which is a very small citrus that grows in the Philippines. And I've seen it here in the US. Bitter is possibly one of the least favorite of the Filipinos. Has anybody tried bitter melon? Oh, I see, Monty. It's a very bitter type of vegetable. And it's something that you will probably get accustomed to when you eat it more frequently. Lastly, we forgot about spice. While not as prevalent as other spices in certain regions, especially in the southern part of the Philippines, people use sili or chilies in their dishes to add that kick. So what are the 4 must-try Filipino foods? First is adobo, the ultimate Filipino comfort food. This concoction was a way for ancient Filipinos to preserve their food using vinegar and salt. Its basic ingredients include chicken or pork, vinegar, soy sauce, garlic, and bay leaves. Adobo is a chameleon, changing its flavors based on the region. Pair this with hot steamed rice, and it's just heaven. The second one is pancit. This is our traditional Filipino noodle dish. It's our version of chow mein from the Chinese. This dish is savory, sweet, with a hint of sourness from that tiny little squeeze of calamansi. If you've ever attended a Filipino birthday party, you will definitely see this front and center because this is the birthday noodles, as we call it, symbolizing good health and long life. Third one is lumpia. Has anybody tried lumpia Shanghai before? Probably in potlucks. Okay, see more hands. Okay, if you've gone to a Filipino party, you probably have seen this front and center as an appetizer. This dish is loved by many for its crispy exterior and savory filling. It's a staple at parties and gatherings. This version of lumpia is typically filled with pork, carrots, onions, garlic, and seasonings. This is then rolled up and then deep fried until crispy. Last but not least is my favorite dessert, halo-halo. Perhaps the most iconic dessert in the Philippines, with its colorful presentation of shaved ice, milk, fruits, nuts, red beans, gelatins, and more. People don't typically associate red beans with dessert, but in this dessert, it's delicious. Halo-halo translates into mix in English. This frozen Filipino dessert is meant to be stirred, thus the name mix, until the rainbow of ingredients comes together in a delicious hodgepodge perfect. The Filipino food is probably one of the most underrated cuisines. And in summary, I talked about the many different international influences to the Filipino cuisine. And I've also talked about the many different flavors that are part of a typical Filipino dish. And lastly, I talked about the 4 must-try Filipino foods that you can try today to get your taste buds acquainted with the Filipino cuisine. As Filipinos would say, kain na, let's eat. Thank you.